before we, humans, took our very first breath in this world, before anything here on Earth even existed, there was a massive fight up in heaven, a cosmic mess of gigantic proportions. Something so huge it changed the course of everything forever, marking the very fabric of existence. In the middle of this cosmic battle, which felt like a movie, two main characters emerged, each with incredible power and brilliance. On one side, there was Lucifer, who was once the most beautiful and radiant angel of all, the one who brought light, who radiated beauty and an intelligence that almost rivaled God's own perfection. On the other side, Michael, heaven's unyielding warrior, an angel so strong that his loyalty and faith were like unbreakable pillars at the heart of the universe. The first clash between these two was so strong that it echoed through eternity, a heavenly explosion that shook the foundations of everything that existed. But like a stubborn shadow you can't make disappear, the bad side wasn't completely destroyed. On the contrary, it came back with more anger, smarter, and full of a fury that seemed brand new. And heaven suddenly found itself in an even bigger war, the most important one of all. It wasn't just any little spat, you understand? It was the essence of life against emptiness, the purest light against the deepest darkness. It was unbending faith against limitless pride. It was Michael versus Lucifer. This isn't just an old story to tell before bed. It's the truth of a confrontation that redefined what heaven was and forever changed what happens here on earth. If this story, this adventure of courage and challenge, moves you deeply, lights a fire within your spirit, then come with us on this exploration. Show your support by giving this video a like and become part of our community by subscribing to the channel right now. Hit the bell icon so you don't miss any of our next epic narratives. Because the war in heaven, my friend, was just a prelude to a much, much bigger saga that continues to unfold. Have you ever stopped to think, for just a second, what your destiny would be if your job was to command gigantic angel armies up in heaven, in a war that would decide the fate of all creation? Human history, as we know it, is full of accounts of kings rising and falling, kingdoms appearing and disappearing, their glories and tragedies written on the pages of time. However, behind these earthly stages, above the transient thrones and perishable crowns, battles of an infinitely greater magnitude were fought in the celestial realms. And it's crucial to understand that the outcome of these wars from a distant age shaped, in ways we can barely conceive, the nations and destinies that manifested below in our own world. In the eye of this cosmic cyclone, at the pulsating center of these epic confrontations, stood the imposing figure of Michael, the Archangel, heaven's unparalleled champion. He is revered as the Great Prince, the supreme commander of the heavenly hosts, He was entrusted with the incredibly important mission of safeguarding both the Creator's throne and the people God chose. His greatness, it's vital to emphasize, didn't come from wanting to be the most important or from seeking personal glory. Not at all. It was forged and refined in an unshakable, incorruptible faith, and in a loyalty that remained unbroken even in the face of most severe trial, the rebellion that dared to challenge the perfect harmony of heaven. His essence was pure devotion, a living testament to a commitment that transcended any temptation. There are stories that tell of a time when a divine messenger, whose name was Gabriel, tasked with delivering a crucial message to humanity, found his path blocked by an adversary. Guess who broke through that barrier? It was Michael. He cleared the way so that an exiled prophet, a man named Daniel, could receive a vision of hope that would unfold over many, many years. On another occasion, when the evil side sought the body of an ancient leader, a man named Moses, it was Michael who intervened, ending the dispute with a singular, powerful rebuke. In each of these decisive moments, in each of his battles fought in the higher realms, hope for us, down below, was always preserved and rekindled. Isn't that amazing? When Michael stood up, the angels followed him immediately, without a second thought. When his sword was drawn, all of heaven rallied, with strength and courage. He is the eternal guardian who doesn't let evil pass. He is a defender chosen to stand firm when everyone else might fail. In some ancient cultures, he is known as the protector of the people of Israel. In others, he is called Michael, the angel of kindness who helps sustain life. In some apocryphal books, He appears protecting the Virgin Mary and guiding souls awaiting salvation. In all stories, he is always seen as a hero who stands when no one else can. Michael's faith was much more than just being loyal. It was like a giant anchor that kept heaven safe and in order during the most difficult moment, when rebellion was spreading chaos. But while Michael stood firm in his unshakable faith, another presence, in a very different way, was succumbing to the poison of pride. His name was Lucifer, which originally meant bearer of light. He was so beautiful and brilliant that he was among the most important angels in heaven. But then he started looking at God's throne and wanting it for himself. And Michael, the angel who protected heaven, would one day have to face him in an open, endless war. Lucifer was unique, different from any other angel. His beauty was breathtaking. His voice sounded like music. His presence shone like the most beautiful star among all stars. But the main difference between him and Michael was very clear. Michael's greatness came from faith and obedience to God, but Lucifer's came from an immense pride, what had been given to him as a wonderful gift. He now wanted to possess as his own by right. Pride grew within him, like a weed that spoils what is pure, transforming honor into limitless ambition. And that ambition, in turn, became an outright rebellion. He thought deep in his heart, "I will ascend above all the stars of God. I will set my throne on high. I will be like the Most High God." This was the first revolt, the first time heaven saw war. The perfect peace was broken, and the angels were sadly divided. Some, seduced by Lucifer's empty promises of glory, listened to his words. Others firmly resisted his lies. And one lone figure stood up against him, Michael, the warrior of heaven. Lucifer, Michael's voice rang out with an authority no one could dispute. "Your pride has no place here near God's throne. That glory you want is not yours to claim." The fight echoed through all corners of heaven. Lucifer fought using words, trying to convince angels to come to his side with promises of power and thrones. His presence still displayed the brilliance he once had, but now it was a slightly tainted, distorted brilliance. But Michael fought with faith, firm and fearless, ordering the loyal angels to stand strong. Wings roared, voices clashed in a deafening cry. Pure light against corrupted light. When the fight ended, Lucifer fell. This was his first big defeat, the first time he plummeted from above. The brilliance of the bearer of light turned into darkness, and his name became forever linked to rebellion. Michael's firm stance kept heaven safe. But the enemy's hatred did not die, not at all. After being cast down, he turned his eyes to earth, looking for a new place to spread his poison and wickedness. A very, very long time passed, and here among us he moved like a shadow, subtly weaving corruption into humanity's history. The brilliance he once had was gone, but he was still super cunning, and his lies began to shape generations of people. It's chilling to think how far a lie can go, isn't it? In the garden, where everything began, he twisted God's words, planting doubt in the heart of a woman, Eve. Because of a single lie, innocence was broken, and death made its entrance into the world. Time continued its course, and Lucifer went after another heart to spoil. He found a man named Cain, whose offering lacked true faith, and poured so much envy into his anger that it burned like fire. Violence entered the world, but behind all this was the invisible hand of the enemy. He made people start worshiping idols, instead of worshiping Creator. Entire countries bowed down to stone statues and fire. What he couldn't steal in heaven, he tried to take through us humans. But even as years passed and his evil spread everywhere, heaven held him back. Michael and the good angels guarded the line, firm and vigilant. The enemy could deceive, but he couldn't win. So his hatred grew even more over time. He stayed there, hidden in the shadows, waiting for the right moment to attack again, once more. And finally that moment arrived. His wickedness reached its peak. The earth was full of violence, and every thought of people seemed to be evil. Lucifer watched and rejoiced, thinking he had completely won. They are mine. Their hearts are rotten. God's image has been erased. He must have thought, with an evil grin. But heaven responded with a giant flood, the famous deluge. The water rose, washing away the world he had messed up Centuries of deception vanished in an instant, and only one man, Noah, and his family survived, protected by God and watched over by Michael. A promise will not be broken, heaven seemed to say. A new beginning will emerge from the water. For Lucifer, that was more than a defeat. It was a deep humiliation. His masterpiece of wickedness had been washed away, thrown out. And behind all that, Michael was there again, showing his strength. From that day on, Lucifer's hatred turned into pure, uncontrollable rage. What he couldn't achieve with whispers and lies, he would try to take by war. His plans were drowned, his idols broken, his evil contained. Each defeat only fueled the fire within him, the fury burning nonstop. So he used the only thing he had left. He called the angels who had followed him in the rebellion at the very beginning, spirits that were now distorted, bound to his cause. From the depths, they answered his call, rising in anger to stand by his side. "Brothers," he cried out, with a voice full of poison and false promises, "the throne should be ours. Why bow to a king who hides glory behind weakness? Come with me, and you will have my crown. Come with me, and all creation will serve us." His words were poison, but they stirred the wounded pride of his followers. What hatred alone couldn't unite, lies sealed, promises of power, whispers of freedom, lies disguised as destiny. With that, he gathered his legions, his dark army. Full of pride, he assembled his army, dark and furious like himself. Their wings beat like an approaching storm. Their cries echoed in defiance, and together they rose from the abyss, straight towards the gates of heaven. The news, of course, reached Michael, the great chief of heaven. Messengers of light came running, reporting that the enemy and his armies had passed the guardians and were coming straight towards the side of Almighty God. "Michael, the enemy's armies are coming like a storm. The guardians are struggling to hold the gates, and heaven is trembling with their cry." They said, full of concern. The enemy no longer hid. He shouted what he wanted, and his ambition was gigantic. He wanted to take everything. He wanted to overthrow Michael, bring more angels into the rebellion, and dominate all creation. But Michael stood firm like an unmoving rock. He gathered the loyal angels, who shone like stars, reminding them that they were fighting for God's throne and the peace of all existence. He assured them that they were not alone, but united, faithful to their king. "Stand firm," he proclaimed, his voice resonating with the strength of 1,000 thunderclaps, yet with the calm of a deep sea. "We fight for a kingdom that cannot be shaken. The enemy comes in anger, but he cannot defeat the truth. Prepare yourselves, for heaven will endure." And if these words, this powerful story of an ancient battle, moves you, gives you a push inside, then come with us on this journey. Like this video to show your support. Subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you don't miss the untold stories of heaven, which we bring to light for everyone to remember. Michael's command wasn't just an order, you know. It was a spark that ignited a war that would shake all creation from the very beginning. With him in command, the armies of light gathered. Their ranks stretched across all of heaven, their brilliance driving darkness far away. United under Michael, they stood firm, ready for the coming war. And the war was not like those of men, with swords and soldiers. It was in heaven itself, where the order of the universe trembled as light and darkness met head-on. The enemy rose in anger, no longer bright, but spoiled by loss, leading armies from the depths against the throne of Almighty God. I saw his armies arrive like a storm. Someone might have whispered then. For a second I trembled, but Michael's voice calmed me. His command was as firm as an unmoving rock. The enemy unleashed his fury in wave after wave. The fallen angels attacked to mess up heaven, to separate the loyal, and to take what wasn't theirs. But Michael stood firm. His ranks didn't budge. They moved as one, shining like stars in a giant constellation. Their strength increased by being together, by being one. Their courage was connected to the throne of eternal God. Stay together. Don't let fear separate you. Truth is our shield, and the throne of our King cannot be moved. Michael shouted. The fight shook all of heaven. Thrones trembled, stars dimmed slightly, and creation seemed to pause as the war exploded. Heaven had never seen such anger nor such resolve. But the enemy pressed even harder with all his might. His armies attacked like a storm, and the loyal angels almost fell, stumbling. Darkness spread, and for an instant, heaven itself almost bent to his rage. His banners flew higher, showing his presence. His voice thundered with pride, demanding the throne, and his followers pushed relentlessly, mercilessly. Chaos began to hit Michael's ranks, and shadows coiled around the halls of heaven. It seemed like nothing could stop him. When all seemed lost, Michael raised his hand, and a blaze of light shot out like a swiftly flowing river. It spread to the loyal, giving them back their strength, restoring their energy. Confusion vanished, unity returned, and their voices joined in a single chorus. Stay with me. The enemy cannot hold what belongs to the living God. Truth will be your strength. Michael proclaimed with renewed energy. Brilliance burst through the shadows, and the loyal angels were united again. Heaven roared with newfound strength, and the battle reached its hottest, most intense point. In the middle of the chaos, the battleground shifted. The enemy himself cleared a path, using all his rage to do it. The loyal angels were pushed back, and the armies made way until the two commanders stood face to face. Eye to eye, Michael, the Archangel, and the enemy, face to face. This throne is mine. I will ascend above the stars. No one can cast me down, the dark entity cried out, his voice full of hatred and pride. You have no place here. Heaven belongs to the Almighty God. Your reign is over. Michael replied, with a terrifying calm, yet full of power. Their voices shook heaven. The loyal angels watched Michael advance, calm and firm, with an authority that only the Most High could give. The enemy attacked with rage, but his blows vanished like shadows before Michael's powerful light. Then Michael attacked. Light shone brightly, and the enemy fell back. His wings weakened, his cry echoed through heaven, and the strength of his rebellion crumbled into pieces. And the end finally came. The enemy and his angels were cast out of heaven, expelled in a storm of lightning and shadows. They fell like fire to earth, stripped of their place in the heights. Michael's victory wasn't just in the fight, you know? He sealed heaven so that the enemy could never rise again. The throne was secure, and the war up there was over. Heaven celebrated its freedom, but earth felt a darker weight. The enemy, without his place above, now unleashed his wrath upon humanity with all his might. Rejoice, O heavens, but woe to the earth, for the devil has come down to you in great anger, knowing his time is short, says an ancient book. From that moment on, the war changed its ground. Heaven was free, but we here on earth became the battlefield. Michael's fight was no longer at the gates above, but in defending God's people here on earth. From then on, the struggle no longer touched heaven, but the countries of men. His lies spread among rulers. His anger spread through nations, and his shadow caused conflicts wherever God's name was spoken. In all the stories of empires that rose and fell, Michael's presence was always a hidden constant, a point of light no one saw. His name appears in prophecies and stories, a sign that heaven never left its people without a guardian. Every rebellion that tried met his strength, and every plan of the enemy was thwarted when he stood up. But Michael's story isn't just about battles won, you understand? It's about the promise that light always returns when darkness appears. The war in heaven is over, yes, but the fight on earth is still ongoing. The enemy's anger is bound by time. It has a limit, and even if his shadow weighs heavily on nations, his end is getting closer with each passing generation. One day, the trumpet will sound. The dead will rise, and Michael's voice will echo again once more as the enemy's reign crumbles into silence. That day will not belong to the accuser, but to the king he tried to overthrow, to the creator of everything. Until that day, Michael remains a guardian of all ages, heaven's warrior, earth's protector, an eternal proof that no throne of darkness can overcome the light of God. The war in heaven is over, but what happened there still affects our world, influencing our daily lives. Every little bit of pride we feel, every spark of faith that ignites our hearts, still speaks of that ancient and powerful battle. And one thing is certain, which doesn't change: no darkness, no matter how great, will ever defeat the light of God. If this story has touched you, made you think, given you goosebumps, don't let that flame die out. Come with us to discover more battles, more hidden secrets, more untold chapters of heaven's story. Like this video to give us a boost. And please subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon. Be part of this journey so that these stories of faith and of something that lasts forever live on for all generations. This is your chance to connect with something grand. And now, after diving into this otherworldly narrative, how about we bring these lessons into our real lives? Because believe me, the battles up there have a lot to teach us about our daily struggles, our challenges, and even about how we see ourselves and the world around us. Let's think together about 20 points that can change our perspective. The origin of pride, Lucifer, so brilliant, fell due to vanity. How many times does our own pride blind us, make us want to be greater than we are, or prevent us from seeing the beauty in others? Reflect. Where is pride hindering you today? The power of choice. The angels had to choose a side. And we every moment are making choices. Small choices that define who we are. Are you aware of your daily choices? Do they lead you towards light or shadow? The importance of loyalty. Michael's unwavering faith was what saved heaven. In our lives, to whom or were we loyal? Are we being faithful to our values, our friends, our family, our own truth? The invisible battles. The war in heaven was not visible to human eyes, but it was real. And how many wars do we fight within ourselves? Battles against anxiety, fear, envy? Recognizing these internal struggles is the first step to overcoming them. The cunning of deception. The enemy used lies to try and destroy. In our daily lives, we are bombarded by false information, by people who try to manipulate us. How about being more critical and seeking the truth with more determination? The danger of unbridled ambition. Lucifer wanted the throne, no matter the cost. And what about us? What is our throne? What are we willing to do to achieve it? Be careful that ambition doesn't become a poison for your soul and your relationships. Resilience amidst defeat. Even after falling from heaven, the enemy did not give up. It's a twisted resilience, of course, but it shows us that the ability to get back up after a fall is powerful. How have you been dealing with your own defeats? Do they paralyze you or push you forward? The value of unity. Michael's army was strong because it was united. At work, in the family, in the community, unity makes us stronger. Have you been seeking to build bridges or walls in your relationships? The enemy's influence in everyday life. The story shows how evil subtly entered Earth. Are there not small seeds of anger, gossip, or impatience being planted in our hearts that, if we're not careful, can grow and dominate us? The strength of a promise. The promise of a new beginning after the flood brought hope. What promises do you rely on? Whether it's the word of a loved one or faith in something greater, promises can be an anchor in the midst of storms. The inner guardian. Michael defended what was good. Who is your inner guardian? That voice of conscience that tells you what's right, that protects you from yourself. Have you been listening to that voice? The fight for image and essence. The enemy wanted to erase God's image in humanity. And we, in our daily lives, are invited to care for our essence, for what makes us human, for what connects us to the divine. Don't let the world take away what is most precious in you. The loss of original beauty. Lucifer lost his brilliance. How many times, with our bad choices, with hatred, anger, do we lose a bit of our own brilliance, our joy, our inner peace? The power of calm rebuke. Michael rebuked the enemy with authority, but without desperation. In our lives, how many discussions could be avoided or resolved with a calmer and more assertive stance? Instead of shouts and aggression, the ripple effect of an action. A lie from Lucifer led to Eve's fall, which led to the flood. Every small action we take has an impact that spreads. Think, what ripple are you creating with your actions today? The battle for our hearts. Earth became the battlefield. In our lives, the heart is our field. It's there that is decided whether good or evil will reign. What have you allowed into your heart? What have you been cultivating there? Hope amidst chaos. Even when heaven trembled, there was hope led by Michael. In our moments of personal, professional, or global chaos, it's essential not to lose hope. It is the flame that guides us. The end of shadow. The story points to a day when the shadow will be silenced. This reminds us that however dark a phase may be, it has an end. No pain, no difficulty lasts forever. Keep that perspective. The invitation to positive action. Michael calls the loyal angels to take a stand. And to us, this story invites us to be active and good, not to stand idly by in the face of injustice or evil. What small positive action can you take today? The certainty of final light. In the end, light wins. This is the final message. And no matter how many challenges daily life brings us, no matter how much life seems like a battle, the certainty is that light will always have the final word. Believe in this and live this truth. Phew, that's a lot to think about, isn't it? This ancient story holds immense wisdom and wants to help us live better, to be better people. If these reflections resonated with you, if they gave you a new way of looking at things, don't keep it to yourself. Give it another like if you enjoyed this part of Reflections. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any content that helps you grow and think differently. And hit the bell icon to be notified whenever there's something new. Together, we keep the light shining.